Business on Purpose podcast, episode number 79. It is time, and we are here to help liberate you from the chaos of working in your business. If you're a small business owner, you are a hero to us. You know, the definition of a hero is somebody who takes really courageous, bold action and in the face of adversity. And a lot of you as small business owners have done that and are doing that, and it's our privilege to be able to walk alongside of you and help provide the tools, the resources, the motivation, the implementation, the accountability to help liberate you from that chaos of what it means to live within the world of a small business owner, in the mind of a small business owner. I tell people all the time, man, the voices won't stop, and they won't. And that's why we're here, is to help you push through those voices that sometimes will never stop. But what's on the other side, that vision that you've articulated is so powerful. That's what we want to be able to help you do. Hey, today I wanted to do a monologue podcast because I've heard the last couple of weeks something that has troubled me in a lot of the conversations that we've been able to have, again, with people like you, heroic small business owners, who want to stop the chaos and really begin to articulate and systematize and process their business so they can serve better their clients, and also so they can maybe not spend so much time on their business or in their business. And so one of the things that we've done is we've actually been reading and researching a book by a guy named Mike Michalowicz, called Profit First. And I've actually reached out to Mike. We're going to see if we can get him on the podcast, if at all possible. And his methodology is really unique. We've actually adopted it ourselves. It's not snake oil. It's really simplistic, but it's very, very clarifying from the accounting perspective of a small business owner when just looking at the day-to-day books. And so as I've been talking to small business owners about this, I've been hearing this quite a bit, more than I want to. That won't work here. That won't work here. And I got to be honest with you, I just needed to have a discussion and really get it out in the open, a change in mindset that we need to have towards that idea of, that's not going to work here. So the next couple of minutes, I turned on the Facebook Live when I did this the other day, but I just wanted you to have some insight, and I want you to walk away changed from just the next 8 minutes or so. I want you to walk away with a different mindset. And instead of saying, that'll never work here, let's change our mindset to do something different so that we can live out the vision that we've got inside of us, so that we can serve other people with the skill set, the gift that God has given us. So take a listen to this, and let's come out on the other side with a changed mindset as we live out our business on purpose. Kind of the mindset behind what I've seen over the last couple of weeks. So as I've talked with clients one-on-one and also in group settings, so we've had the privilege to be able to, we work with small, heroic business owners to help liberate them from the chaos of working in their business. And in doing that, what we've found is once we get into the systems stage where we'll actually build out their vision story, their mission statement, their unique core value set, and then we'll start building out those 3 customized and critical business roadmaps that they need to really push their business forward. That's when we move into building out the organizational infrastructure so they can actually see their business on a sheet of paper for the very first time. And in doing that, it really opens their eyes. We actually call it a business autopsy. It's kind of gross if you really think about it. You know, we kind of put on our medical gear and we get in and dirty into the weeds of the business because we want to understand, where's the business healthy and where does the business need some growth? And so we've started to have these conversations with so many small business owners. And then once we've dug around in there and we identify what systems there are inherent in the business and also identify the various job roles that it takes to get those systems performed at the right level so the business owner can spend more time working on the business than in the business. Once we've got that down in a team meeting structure that they can move forward, now we start to build the processes. You know, every small business owner goes, golly, if I could just have some processes for my business, that would be awesome. And in fact, we see where processes are really helpful. We've got a couple of business owners just as we're refreshing their vision story these last couple of weeks, because they're a couple of years into them and it's the beginning of the year. Well, it's March now, but we're just getting into, we're refreshing some of those. And what we've found is a couple of our business owners, when we started and initially wrote out their vision, they were working 52, 55, 60 hours a week. And now all of a sudden they're working 32 hours a week. And it's by choice. In fact, one business owner I talked to this week said, I can't believe it. I'm actually at home every day when my boys get off the bus. This was the dad talking. And it's been a big source of pride for him to be able to do that. It's because he's built out a vision story of where he wants to go, and then all the roadmaps and the infrastructure of how to go about getting there. Well, in doing that, what ended up happening was, as we refreshed the vision, he started building out these processes. Well, and in building out the processes, some of the stuff we've been talking about lately is based on that methodology in the book that I've recently read, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. But here's what's really struck me. As I've gone through this very simple process, he basically says, set up 5 major accounts. And I hope I'm getting this right. Mike, if you ever hear this, I hope I'm getting this right. One is what's called your income account. Basically, every dollar goes into that account. And then once all the money's in that account, nothing comes out of that account without going into some other account first, all right? And it's because the small business owner, while we say, hey, we're making income, we're making profit, we're doing all that stuff, a lot of times it's profit on a sheet of paper, but it's not really profit in the bank. And so we want to see what's in the bank that we've actually built up to where we can operate the business on, that we owe to the IRS, that we're going to pay ourselves from, and that we're going to actually draw as distribution or profit from a business owner standpoint. You know what struck me? I've had a number of people tell me, well, that's just not going to work here. And instead of it, I'm even having to correct sometimes and go, let's not say that. Let's not say that. Instead of saying, hey, that's not going to work here, we hear all these testimonials where people have been blown away by the results they're getting. Instead of saying that's not going to work here, why don't we say, hey, what can we do with that methodology, with that model to make it work here? Because the results that I'm hearing, that's what I want. So how do we maneuver that? And I realize, Mike, and any other person who's got kind of an approach, we've got the 4 steps to business freedom. Am I saying that you've got to hold to that 100%? No. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is use that as your base to jump off of. Use that as your trampoline, your launching point to then go make strategic decisions around what you want to do. And because it has to do with bookkeeping and accounting and reporting and maneuvering funds around so you can see what you run the business off of versus what you don't, all that, we kind of get weirded out by that, right? We get freaked out a little bit. Let's stop doing that. Instead, let's re-ask the question of instead of making a statement and say, hey, that won't work here. Let's ask ourselves the question, hey, how can we leverage something that obviously has clear results, tangible results, and that small business owners who have never in their business life been profitable, all of a sudden they follow this approach and now they're profitable. Well, if they're doing it, there's got to be something that's working that we can then leverage within our business to make it done. And by the way, he's not selling snake oil. I mean, none of this is, I've read through the whole thing. I've seen some videos, heard some podcasts that he's been on, and it's working really well. And this isn't even really a promotion of Profit First, although we've implemented it in our business as well. What this is it's a call, it's a motivation, it's a plea even to say, before you react and say, that'll never work here, I want you to stop and ask yourself a question. Reframe the position on what you see in front of you. And that is, what can I take away from this framework that would actually blow our socks off from a business standpoint? And so starting to change your mindset around that is going to be critical in how you approach a variety of situations that you're coming up with. Because there are a lot of people who've got a lot of great tools and resources and insights and theories and ideas that you can leverage. But instead of saying, that'll never work here, stop and re-ask yourself the question, what can we take from that so that we can implement that here? Or even beyond that, what do we need to change to make that work here? Because I want those results. And if you want to get those results, you might have to change something that you're doing internally. And so I want to encourage you. None of us has arrived. I've not arrived. I'm not anywhere close to arriving. My goodness. And all the small business owners that we get to work with, those heroes, they've not arrived either. We're in a constant state of growth. You know, Paul said at one time in Corinthians in the New Testament, he said, all of us with unveiled faces, we're being transformed from one degree into the next degree, into the next degree, into the next degree. It kind of gives this illusion that we're always just kind of moving, you know, and the adventure along the way. And a lot of people say, well, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And you've heard me say before, no, it's about both and. It's about the adventure, the journey, and the destination at the same time. So as you're along in that destination, stop closing the door. Stop saying, that'll never work here. Instead, ask yourself, what can we leverage there? Or what do we need to change internally to make that work here? That's the kind of mindset shift we want to go. So I hope that's helpful to you. Thanks for joining me. And by the way, you can see this big mic. This is actually going to be on our next podcast as well. If you're curious, go to the Business on Purpose podcast at mybusinessonpurpose.com/podcast. And you'll see those there. We've got, almost 80 episodes of podcasts that we put out there in an effort to liberate small business owners from the chaos of working their business. Hope that's helpful. Again, don't say, that's not going to work here. Ask yourself, what do we need to change to make that work? I want those results, so what do we need to change to make that work here? Or what can we take away from that idea?